Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Evolve Beyond Limits podcast, where we talk about all things personal growth, transformation, and stress optimization. So today we're going to talk about stress, and we're going to talk about a concept called Dinacharya. Dinacharya is an Ayurvedic practice that essentially it means daily routine, okay? And why this is so important is because one of the first things that we do when we're working with clients is we need to start aligning ourselves with the natural cycles. One of the biggest stressors that we actually have is that we are fighting against these cosmic cycles. We're fighting against nature instead of working with it. And it's something that has happened over the years through, having electricity, which is wonderful, and having these different things. But it keeps us from our natural cycles, and our technology is not helping. There's just a lot of things that are kind of getting in the way. And so one of the reasons that people will feel like they don't have a lot of energy and it's really stressful on the body is that they are out of alignment with their daily routine. So we're going to talk about this Dinacharya, and it's essentially, again, how aligned are we with the cosmic cycles? How aligned are we with the sun and the moon? And in Ayurveda, there's these different doshas. They're made up of different elements. And throughout the day and throughout our life, actually, and maybe I'll go into this, we go through different parts of our life that are meant to be focused on different things. And we want all the different elements and all the different doshas. So stay with me. If you don't know what any of this means, it's going to get very practical, okay? But when we fight these natural cycles, we create stress in our system. But if we can learn to flow with them and even make just a subtle change, then our bodies are designed to heal themselves. This is where restoration, energy, healing, clarity, all of that lives in just coming back to some of our natural cycles. And I was taking this course, this weekend course on Ayurveda, and we were talking to some of the practitioners, and they said that they would have people come in who had these chronic illnesses, who they could not figure out what was wrong with them, and all these different things. And the first thing that they would do is have them begin this Dinacharya, this daily routine that's in alignment with the sun and the moon, and massive changes would start to happen. So it's amazing when we just give our bodies what it needs, what we can do, and what it can do without us having to try so hard. Okay. So there's essentially 6 different times of day. Every time block is ruled by a different dosha. So there's Vata, there's Pitta, and there's Kapha, and the elements that go along with that. And they offer different kinds of support to your body, to your mind, to your energy. So I'm going to break it down for you. But before I do, I want to talk about this on a larger scale, because this Dinacharya happens really throughout our lifetime. So if you think about it, there's Kapha energy. Kapha energy is very much stable. It's building, it's strengthening, it's nourishing energy. The elements are earth and water, which creates mud. So it's kind of like they're like these very building, stable energies in our life. And when it comes, that's supposed to happen between the ages of when we're born, essentially, to about 20. So if you think about this on a larger scale, from the time we're born until we're about 18 to 20, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be building. We're supposed to be stabilizing. We're supposed to be nourishing. We're supposed to be connecting with others. We're building strength. We're learning wisdom. It's all these different things, right? So then we have between the ages of, let's just say 20 to 50, this becomes Pitta time. Pitta is fire and water, but if you think about this, it's very transformative. So in the body, it represents our digestion, our digestive juices and the things that transform things. And so between 20 and 50, we're kind of transforming everything in our life, right? Like we are getting shit done. We are buying the house. We are getting the job. We're getting married. We're having kids. Like everything about our life is changing. And then from 50 and on, we kind of fall into this more Vata energy. And Vata is all about air and ether, okay? So this is creativity, this is lightness, this is movement, more wisdom based, and it's a lot more being than doing. And so like 50, you think about we're supposed to kind of start to slow down, maybe start to go into a more wisdom role where we're consulting and we're not like going so hard as that. We're like not sitting in that fire energy all the time. So all of these are really important, but what do we live in? We live in a world that wants us to be Pitta or fire energy all the time. From the moment we're born until the moment we die, we're supposed to be in this really high fire energy. And it is becoming really destructive to our souls and all the things. We wonder why we're having so many issues, so many health issues, so many different things. Well, because we are trying to only be one of these things. And, somebody explained it to me this way, and I thought that it was really powerful because all three doshas make us up as a human being. We all have all three of them in our system. Some of them are more powerful. Like I'm very fire energy. That's the one that I have to be cautious of. But they all have their place. And I think that the way that this was described to me was this, okay? If you had 3 Kapha energies, well, I'll start with Vata. If you had 3 Vata energy people in a room, okay, and they were supposed to do a project, there would be a lot of daydreaming, a lot of visionary stuff, a lot of like, ooh, we should do this, like tons and tons of ideas. But there would never be any action. Nothing would ever come of the ideas. It would just be pretty much a brainstorming session, okay? If you had 3 Pitta people, which are fire people, in a room, and you told them to do something, they are going to burn themselves into the ground in about 30 seconds. Like they're going to take so much action so fast that they're going to burn out really quick. And then if you were to have 3 Kapha people in a room, they'll stay in the room forever. But they're not really going to move until you give them directive, until they're going to sit there and be like, when is somebody going to tell us what to do here? And so you don't want that. You want all 3. And you can see that all 3, if you have somebody who is really coming up with ideas and brainstorming and they're like this visionary, and then you've got the person in the middle that gets shit done, right? They're bringing it down to the ground. And then you've got this Kapha energy, which once it gets moving and it's determined, it can just stick things out. It just really it has this beautiful strength and resiliency and determination that it shows up every day to do that thing. That's what we're looking for, right? So this is just kind of I'm probably giving you a little more information than you need, but I don't know. I find it fascinating. But that's why as I go through this Dinacharya and we talk about the different times of day, they associate with the different doshas. And the different doshas all have their place. That's the point that I was going to make, is that they all have their place, they all have their time, and if we can learn to work with all of them, we are going to be a more harmonized, balanced human being, and therefore we are going to be able to optimize and stay in that stress sweet spot, and we are going to just be in the best place that we can possibly be and just really show up for ourselves. So okay, let's start. Let's talk about the different times of day. So the first time of day, and I'm going to attach, just so everybody knows, I'm going to attach a free guidebook that is going to walk you through these things. So you can listen to this, but then go ahead and download the guidebook so that you can start to implement this into your life. I honestly did this and I noticed a difference. I notice a massive difference when I am sticking to this and when I am not. So it does make a huge difference if you put it into action. Okay. First time, Vata time. So between like 3 a.m. and 6 a.m., we're talking about Vata. Remember, this is air and ether. So the energy of this time is movement, lightness, spiritual connection. It's about transition. So you're transitioning from sleeping to morning time. Okay. We're transitioning from being to doing. And there's a reason that the veil is very thin during this time. So it's a great time to connect to God. It's a great time to connect to whatever source energy you connect to. There is a reason that some of the most spiritual people on the planet get up super early and meditate for 3 or 4 hours. I'm not doing that, but 3 or 4 hours in the morning, and they get up so early because they know the power of this ancient wisdom. So during this time, here's the most important things. You want to wake up before sunrise. Okay, so this is a big deal. You want to get your body, and if you're somebody who's sitting there and you're already going, I can't go to bed that early and I can't wake up that early because I go to bed too late, we're going to get there. But here would be my thing. If you start waking up before sunrise, I bet you're going to be tired earlier. And this is really helpful for our cortisol and all the things. So we want to wake up before sunrise so that we can see the sunrise. If you can actually watch the sunrise, even flipping better, but this is a big deal. Okay. Another thing that you can do during this time is meditate. Take a couple of minutes to just sit, meditate, do some gentle breath work or some mantra stuff. You can, some light journaling. It's just a time to connect and transition. I like to grab a cup of tea, sit down, do my meditations. I use an oil sometimes, and then I do, I journal a little bit and kind of set my intention for the day and then rock and roll. So this is really powerful, and you don't need a lot of time, you guys. I spend like 15 minutes in this. And if it's a day I only have a couple minutes, I spend a couple minutes. The point is the intention. Then we move into Kapha time. So this is between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. Now remember, Kapha is all about earth and water. So the energy of this is stability, strength, and building. Okay. So this is a time to build your foundation. The things that you want to do here is move. This is actually the most ideal time to do your most vigorous type of workout. So I'm going to talk all about movement and the different types in a different episode and what movement, but you have to think, a holistic being is all about, we need strength, we need endurance, and we need flexibility. So this is a really great time to do your most vigorous movement, to eat a really nourishing breakfast, set your top 3 priorities for the day. So whatever you need to do to build into the day, this is when you want to do it. This is when your body is the strongest. So lean into that and let it energize the rest of your day. Then we transition into Pitta time. So this is that fire and water. So think about this as like focus, transformation. We feel very driven during this time, and it's between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. I like to call this GSD time. This is get shit done time. So the things that we can do, tackle your high focused, high priority tasks. Make sure that any, like your important meetings, your creative problem solving, even eating your largest meal here, because our digestion is what is like, that's the fire in our system, is our metabolism and our digestion. The sun is at the highest, so our digestion is at the highest. And so eating your largest meal at lunch is really, and I like to think large, but I also like to think heavier meal. So if it's a heavier meal, this is a great time to do it. And then just make sure that throughout this time, we are running really hot. So stay hydrated, take short breaks, get out, take some walk breaks, all that kind of stuff. But this is like I'd like to think about this as external transformation. And if you can intentionally use this time, you're going to free up space later in the day. Okay, now we're between about 2 and 6 again. And we're coming back to Vata time. This is transition. This is creativity. This is lightness. We're shifting from the doing into the being again. So we can take this time to reflect and review on the time that we've had, plan for tomorrow, wrap up any loose ends that we have. And I like to think about this like light errands. So I put a lot of self-care in here. Like I put my pottery, or going and doing some grocery shopping, or going to get my nails done, or whatever I need to do to kind of transition out of doing and like kind of go into more being taken care of. And whether I'm being like somebody else is taking care of me or I'm taking care of me, that's what this time is for. And you have to honor this natural slowdown. You don't have to just like pivot from one thing to another. This is a time where you can utilize this energy to transition. It doesn't have to be like this hard stop thing. Then we go into Kapha time. So we're back into Kapha time. So 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Now, when this happens at night, we're thinking more unwinding, okay? Grounding, connecting, restoring, winding down. So we want to unwind our body. We want to unwind our mind. We want to unwind our emotions, all of that. So we can eat a lighter dinner, ideally before kind of 7:30, giving your body plenty of time to, digest and do all the things. And we'll talk about why that's important in a second. We go for a family walk. If you're going to do some yoga, like yin yoga, perfect time to do that. Think about unwinding the body. Then we want to unwind the emotions. So we can journal, we connect with our friends, we connect with our family. And here's a big one. We want to start to dim the lights, unplug from the tech, right? Which I know a lot of us, we want to get to the end of our day and we want to turn on the TV, and we want to, scroll on our phones and doing all of those things. And they're not actually as restorative as you think. So I like to put this rule in. I'm going to turn off all tech an hour before bed. And you'd be amazed how many good things you'll do for yourself if you don't sit there and scroll and if you don't have the TV on. So you can do a lot of really great things in this time. But think about that and just kind of let that be your unwind. Your nervous system is going to be so beyond grateful. Now, Pitta time, we're back to fire, which seems weird because it's at like 10 p.m. So 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Think about this as internal transformation and cleansing. So your body is, while you go to sleep, so we need to try and choose to get to bed and be fully asleep by 10 p.m. And I'm talking optimal, right? But optimally, if we can be in bed asleep by 10 p.m., this is really powerful because between that 10 p.m. and that 2 a.m., our body is doing an internal cleansing of all of our organs, of our brain. It's just scrubbing everything clean. So this is going to allow us to support any type of cellular repair. It allows your body to detox, to heal, to reset naturally without having to do anything else. And so just making sure that we're avoiding food. And what I was going to say earlier is that if we eat super late, it's okay. But just think about, your body has to then focus its energy on digesting that food. And so if we can get our last meal in before 7:30, we're giving our body some time to digest so that it can start to focus on its natural healing powers that it's going to be able to have. So even if you're hungry before you go to bed, you can do some bone broth, do something that doesn't take a lot of digesting, okay? And just making sure that we're not doing a bunch of stimulating activity, playing games, being on our phones, doing all of that kind of stuff. We want to be asleep by 10 p.m. And if you're awake, the thing is, it's just that the fire energy is going to get misused, and it can possibly cause some anxiety because you've got this fire energy and it wants to do something. But I will probably attach, maybe I'll just put it in the guide, but we can do a meditation before you go to bed. Allow your subconscious to go to work. Allow your physical body to go to work. This is like internally transforming. It's like nighttime is such a powerful time to transform physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually if we set ourselves up for success. Okay. So this is a way to do that. All right. That is Dinacharya in its full. And this is more on like your daily rhythm. Okay. Very cool. Like I said, put it into practice, but there's a couple of like best practices that I want you to keep in mind, and this will be in the guide for you. One, start small. You do not need to nail every single cycle right away. You can start by waking up 15 minutes earlier, or just choose one time block that you want to do a better job aligning with. And make sure that you use the energy, that you don't fight it. You're not lazy at 3 p.m. You're just in this transition zone. So instead of trying to force through it, dance with it. Okay? Like, what could I do that would be really nourishing during this time that aligns with it being more of a transition time? And just, you don't have to be perfect. I take calls at 7 p.m. at night sometimes, okay? This is not about, and does that fit in my perfect daily routine? We don't want to become rigid, because when we become rigid, we then, there's other stressors that come from that. But if I have a 7 p.m. call, I still take some transition time. I know that I'm going to be a little bit amped up after my call. That's okay. But I take that after I get off my call, I just go back to, like, I'm still in Kapha. I need to unwind. I don't turn on the TV. I allow myself to journal. I maybe have some tea and just allow that unwinding to happen. And so you can put other things where they need to be and still kind of stick to this. So it's not about rigid rules. It's just remembering your rhythm. So don't look for perfection. It's just a matter of like doing your best with each day and giving it an opportunity. And just kind of remember that all of this stuff compounds over time. I actually noticed a big difference within days, but this stuff does compound over time. And so just give it the time it needs to work. All right. I think that is all I have for you guys today. I would be really curious as to see how you feel about this Dinacharya, what happens when you start putting this into practice. Like I said, there will be a guide attached in the show notes, so you can get this free guide. And I want to hear about all the things, all the ways that it's making you feel. And, yeah, that is all I have for you today. So just remember that transformation starts with awareness and builds with choosing to take action on that awareness. So share this episode with someone who needs it, and let's keep evolving together. I will see you on the next one.